Hey, it's Troy from Bookseller Academy. Today we're going to talk about scaling and failing. Scaling your business with books or even RA or OA or private label. To do that, we're going to actually use Google Sheets. So you'll learn a little bit about how to use Google Sheets, and hopefully this will give you some type of forecast on how you could scale your business and really pinpoint where you might fail in your business, and maybe give you an idea of where you want to scale it up to. So I'm using Google Spreadsheets right now. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to talk about the snowball effect, or the compound effect, or feeding the beast for FBA. That term is being used a lot around FBA sellers, where you just have to continually feed the beast and then you'll actually grow your business. I want to dive in a little bit deeper into that, and by creating a worksheet, so that way you could really see on some areas where you could improve your business, or just to just scale efficiently. And I'm not going to talk about anything as far as additional operating expenses, or the time spent to do this, or any other additional investments or maybe mistakes that you might have with the business. So this is just going to be a very linear approach. This is not to give you, it's not to be followed exactly. You are going to have your ups and downs in your business. So it's really important as a entrepreneur or business owner to figure out and solve these problems for yourself. So let's go ahead and get started here. For now, I'm just going to call this a compound, or I'll just call it a compound spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and do one of the main questions that a lot of people ask is, how much do I really need to invest into my business? So we're going to do an investment field here, right? What are the profit margins I should really consider? How much I need to reinvest each month. So let's do this for maybe 2 years. So let's do a 24-month projection. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull this out here. So that's 15 months. Let's make sure we get it up to 24. Okay, it's 24 months right there. Well, 23. Whoops. Let's make this 24. Good. 24 months, 2 years. We're going to need, so this is the actual month, right? And then the investment amount. What's the profit from the investment? How much goes into your bank, investment and profit at the end of the day? And then we need to calculate how much we need to reinvest. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make this field, $1,000 investment. Let's be really conservative here, and let's go with a 20% profit margin, and let's reinvest 90% of the total. I'm already thinking here, in order to do the calculations, I'm going to have to probably duplicate this across the columns, and you'll see why. Let me just pull out a formula here, and we just want it to equal that. So we'll copy that formula and drag this over to here, paste special, and we're gonna paste the formula. Same thing with this. Copy this formula, and we will paste it here. Oops, just want to make sure that the formula is pasted. There you go. So that way, if we need to change our profit margins, let's say we want to go 30%, it changes across the board, or 80% reinvest. Okay, changes. All right, so first month we're looking at an initial investment of $1,000. So maybe you can spend $1,000 worth of books or toys or shoes or whatever you want to do for your FBA business, or even private label. So we're just going to pull this number here, this formula, pull it from this cell, so that way anytime I change this number, that always changes, and it will kind of give us the forecast of what we're going to do, what we're going to achieve for the next 24 months. For the profit, I'm going to pull that in here as well, profit margin, right? So in the bank, basically it's going to be the profit. Well, we could do the profit calculation back here instead of just pulling in the profit margin. So we'll just go, we'll start a formula, the investment, multiply the profit margin, right? So technically, you know, I'm not being very exact here, but this should just really give you an idea. What's deposited back into the bank would be this investment plus the profit. And we want to reinvest this amount, right? So looks like we're reinvesting for now is this 8%, 80% of the total what's in our bank. So from here, I'm selecting what's in our bank, and we're going to multiply it by that. Okay, this is carrying over to the next month, right? We needed to source 1,040 of products. Okay, so now what this should do is we should be able to pull this formula out to the 24 months. Same with this. You can see that it's starting to populate. All right. So now everything's populated. This is a little kind of hard to read, so let's change this to what do we need to change this to? This is, let's change it to a currency. Let's make this so we could see it a little bit better. All right. So what this is saying is by the end of 24 months, using this type of formula, initial investment, you have a 30% profit margin, and you're reinvesting that back into the business and doing the same formula. You could see the growth of the business of what it'll be after 2 years. So in your bank, you're looking at a $3,000 from $1,000 investment and just investing 80%. That's how you kind of grow your business from $1,000 to $3,000. So I'm being very conservative in these numbers right here, right? Whatever you're doing with the other 20%, whether you're paying yourself out, I don't know, or you're using that for monthly expenses. What I want to do here is I want to create some real life scenarios, right? Like how it really applies to the business in real life, right? So let's see here. Let me just go ahead and make this a little bit better. Okay, just making sure the numbers are set. So I'm just gonna make these, I'm gonna highlight the fill color and allow this would just show me that I can edit these fields. And anytime I edit the field, let's say if I want to do a $2,000 investment, everything kind of changes. The more you invest, the more money you'll get after each month. So let's go real life. I mean, typically with FBA, especially if you're starting in books, with books, it's usually at least 100% profit margin, mostly 200, right? So even if you're at a 200% profit margin, well, that's really 2 right here, right? You can see how much your business grows after 24 months, just reinvesting 80% of the business. And I know this is kind of confusing right now, but let's go through some real life scenarios here, and let's not even talk about books. Let's still be conservative, and let's see if we're gonna do maybe a 20. Let's go back to 20% profit margin, and let's reinvest 100% of the business back in. Okay. So look at the difference when you invest 100% of the business back into your sourcing. At 2 months, you're looking at like a 79,000 bank account just from $1,000 investment. When you plan on reinvesting 100% of your capital of what you made. Let's go ahead and dive in a little bit more. I know this is it's still not true to what you're actually doing into your business. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a row above, and I'm just going to go monthly expense. Whatever that is, maybe it's your rent, maybe it's bills that you have to pay, maybe it's the Amazon seller fees that you have to pay, the $39 a month. But let's go ahead and just make that at a $2,000 monthly expense, and let's pull that out. Okay, and we're gonna redo this formula here. So now that we have a monthly expense, we are actually gonna reinvest this times this, right? But we're also minusing our monthly expense. You can see now that you are hitting a negative number here, right? And let's go ahead and pull this formula out all the way through. See, even if you pull out money, you're pulling out money a little too early right here. And I'm just gonna make this yellow, so we know that we can edit this field. And let's make this a little bit easier to read. Let's go out to 24. And what we're gonna do here, we're going to do some conditional formatting. If value is less than 0, I want to make this red. Okay, Let's add another rule to that. If it's greater than 0, meaning that we're actually making money to reinvest, I just want to leave it as green. All right. So let's remove this monthly expense here. Okay. For the first month, let's say you are living for free for the second month. You see, you still can't take out money from your business. So it's really you can't have, you're going to have a difficult time to scale your business, right? See that? You still have to be working for free for the next 5 months, right? Next 6 months, next 8 months, next 10 months. It just keeps going. Oh, there you go. Looks like you are still profitable working for free for the next 12 months, but you're starting to take out money on the 13th month. Now this is kind of hard to see, right? So let's go ahead and put a graph to this bank. Are you really scaling by taking money out from your business and not reinvesting? So we're just going to add a graph here. Boom. Okay. So now we have this bank graph here. You can see this graph changes as you add in as you change the conditions within, I'm just changing the monthly expense. You could see here, by taking out a $2,000 pay or whatever for your expense, and you continue doing that for the next month or so, all the way up to the 24 months, you could see that it peaks up and then you start losing money from your bank. This is where your business dies at this point, right? You could see it. It's right here on the 20th month. You start going negative just by taking out money a little earlier than you should, when you should really be reinvesting that money back into your business. So I'm going to go and see if you could still work. So for a whole year, you can't really take out money for yourself. Let's look at the 13th month. Look at that. Look how that changes. So working for free for 13 months, and then actually taking money out on the 14th month, you start seeing a dip, right? But then because you actually waited, and you had the patience to actually not pay yourself, it's enough money now to start getting getting a paycheck, right? Look at that. So at this point, with the $1,000 investment, with a profit margin of 20% and reinvesting 100% and continually doing that, and just giving yourself like a $22,000 paycheck on month 14, you can see how it's profitable. But taking money out too early, you actually lose. So, and the only way to really solve this problem, and this is how the rich get richer, right? And this is why investment is so important in your business, where you really have to have money to invest to not see these types of dips into your business, into your bank. So even if let's say you're even doubling this to 2,000, look at that. A $2,000 investment, you don't have that problem at the same area of actually taking it out. With $1,000, you see that dip and you actually lose money a little bit early. But the formula is still the same. Let's go back to 2,000 right here. You see, you could actually take out money on the 12th month of your business, right? You could take money out on the 11th month of your business. You can still take out money out of the 10th month of your business. Look at that, right? Let's see here. On the 9th month, that's with $2,000 investment, 20% profit margin. This is where it's going to get you. you've taken out money from your business a little too early, right? So these are just different scenarios that you could work with. Let's just go ahead and make this all 0 again. Right, this is the perfect scenario where I'm just investing 100% of my business over and over and over again. Right, at the end of the day, your bank account, by doing that with a $2,000 investment, your bank is going to look like $158,000, right? And this is very, very low profit margins, right? Typically with RA, maybe you're looking at 50% profit margins. Look at that. We're looking at a $33 million bank account, right? But let's be realistic here, right? So let's pull this bank aside. I'm just going to pull it down right here. Or we'll make it a little smaller. Let's look at the products, right? For books, we're looking at a cost of $1.50, right? So how many books do you really need to get for the first month in order for this kind of scenario to happen? I know the profit margin is 50%. I mean, you could change it to 200 if you wanted to, but just for demo purposes, let's just say our profit margin is 50%. Right? How many books do I really need to get? And really, and if I'm not having any monthly expense, how much do I really need to source? Right? So the question is, from a sourcing standpoint, is, well, I'm reinvesting $3,000 just to make this a lot simpler, right? So 3,000, and we're gonna go ahead and divide that by $1.50. I'm just putting $1.50 cost on the books itself, right? So this is actually units. We're not going to use this as units. This is going to be a number with no decimals. Okay. You're really looking at 2,000 books, right? For that first month. Let's just pull this out, this formula out here. And this is the scale growth of reinvesting 100% and how many units you really need to get to achieve that. Look at that. For the first month, 2,000 books. For the second month, 3,000 books. For the third month, 4,500 books. So just from a book perspective, right? Even just with this talk of continually feeding the beast or scaling, if you were to have this perfect formula of scaling your business by investing 100% growth, right? You're reinvesting 100% and you're buying the amount of items to cover that. I mean, we're looking at from month 5, you really have to buy 10,000 books. So really to scale, in the big picture standpoint, if you really want to scale with books, sourcing is fine, going to libraries and things like that. But as you think of how to scale your business and to grow your business, you really need to look at, okay, where am I going to get more inventory? Where am I going to store this inventory? This is the things that you're gonna have to solve as an entrepreneur to figure out how to scale your business, right? I mean, because if you're following this formula exactly, then I'm just investing 100%, right? Because I hear that a lot. I'm just investing 100% of my business. At some point, you're going to have to figure out where to scale, right? And so really what I've seen with other sellers is diversifying, right? So they're diversifying their products. So some people I've seen they get into shoes, they get into, I don't know, they get into toys for whatever reason, right? So for shoes, even if you're at a $50 buy cost, right? $50 per shoe, right? So we are going to take this number, what you're reinvesting, and divided that by 50. These are the number of units you need to buy per year, per month. We'll just remove the decimal. Basically following it, this graph, right? Again, we're looking at a $2,000 investment with a 50% profit margin. You're investing 100% of your profit with your initial investment, right? Again, so even from a shoe standpoint, right, you're looking at even month 8, 1,000 shoes, right? And you could say the same thing with toys, right? This is basically the same formula, even if you're buying 50 toys, right? So let's just do this formula real quick, just so that way you could change this number at any time. I'll share this worksheet below, that way you could work with the formulas and kind of give your own scenario and how you want to scale your business so you don't fail. So all right, so let's just look at the monthly expense, right? So the scenario is where I see a lot of people fail in their business, where they just kind of stop. They start taking you could see that they start taking money out maybe a little too early. I'm just pulling this over. Not sure why this is not updating. Oh, can't really see the graph just because this is a little too high. Okay, I'm going back to the profit margin of 20%. Even at 50%, that's still good. Oops. Pull that over and still drop it at $1,000. Still looking good at month 9. Oh. Wow, at a 50% profit margin. If you're sourcing products that give you a 50% profit margin, you should be fine of taking out some money. And I'm not saying exactly month 5, but even just taking it out at like year 10, right? But look at the numbers though. You're gonna have to figure out how to, if you want the business to scale up, you still have to figure out how to, especially with books, how to grow this, right? How am I going to get 10,000 books at the 50% profit margin, right? So even from a book standpoint, let's just make it a 300% profit margin, right? That's usually how books kind of work, right? From an investment standpoint, let's say you are really investing 100% and you're just working with books. Look at month 1 on how many books you need to get, and then month 2 if you're reinvesting 100%. That to me is definitely a problem to a really good problem to solve, is how to get that many books, right? Or actually even from a profit margin from, let's say you're just doing a 200% profit margin. Look how much you need to scale. And this is even getting money out of the bank, right? The only real way to scale a business is really to invest money back into the business. So these are things that you have to solve. You have to solve, especially when you're starting out, is one is how much you want to invest, what's your profit margin looking like, and how much you want to reinvest, right? The second problem is as your monthly expenses. I don't know if you're going to open up a warehouse or you're going to pay yourself, right? How does that look like? When to pay yourself? Especially if you're working with a 20% profit margin. Again, you want this graph to look, it may look good in the beginning, but you don't want to get money out too early, right? Look at that. At the 12th month, at 20% profit margin, you're getting money out. If you're getting money out on the 12th month, so you're taking money out way too early if you're looking for that pay. So really again, you have to solve how to keep your monthly expenses down while you build up this business, right? Because you really want it to look like that, right? Have a quick dip and you're still growing, and now you're paying yourself next year, right? The other piece here too, from a book perspective, look how many books you have to source in order to keep up some type of growth, right? In growth here, we're only looking at, from a business standpoint, having $15,000 in the bank, right? So the question is do you diversify in your business, right? Maybe you do need to diversify in other things, right? So even from a shoe perspective, you're still spending about $50 per shoe. You still have to get 24, and this amount does grow. So I don't know how many Nike stores or wholesale that suppliers you need to talk to, or where do you even store all these items. But those are things that you have to figure out as a business, even if you're diversifying to toys, right? Again, so I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm hoping that this will give you an idea on how to scale your business and how not to fail, especially from a financial standpoint. It should give you some type of insight of how much inventory you need to store or how much inventory you need to buy, and how important it is to invest into your business, especially if you have a really good initial investment. Right now, look at that. That's a $2,000 investment. And using this formula, and working for free for a year, looks like you'll be profitable. So again, let me know what you think. Subscribe, like it, don't like it, but we hope to see you soon. Thanks.